BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. It's in that moment that everything starts to shift in your favor when you begin. You've done the inner work. You've made the decision. You've prepared. Now take a step, whatever that step is. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart, and we are in step 4 of the BTB Blueprint. Over the last few weeks, we've gone through a very powerful set of the first 3 steps. You took the time to study your story. You made a decision about who you're becoming, and you've started preparing your environment so that the growth you want to actually have can take place in your life. And now we step into a moment that every transformation requires. I remember very vividly when I was 14 years old and I wanted to take this path towards becoming Division I college tennis player, making this very same step that I know will resonate with you as the listener. This step is a turning point. It's the moment where the inner work meets the outer action. It's what you're doing between the ears that allows you to start making those steps towards your built to be journey. It's the moment where everything starts to shift, not because you have this perfect plan, but because you finally have taken the first step. Step 4 in the BTB Blueprint is begin. I want to start by being real with you. I come across clients often as a coach themed as most people aren't ready to make a transformation. Most people are also on the other end that feel like they have to have this perfect, intricate plan for them to take action towards anything in their life. But not everybody feels ready. They're not ready for a new identity. They're not ready for a new routine. They're not ready for a new life. We wait for the readiness like it's going to knock on our door one day. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You see, people say things like, I'll start when things slow down, or I'll start when I feel more confident. I'll start when I have more clarity. But readiness isn't something that arrives before you start. Readiness is something that grows because you started. You decided to take action. When you begin, even if it's messy, even if it doesn't make sense, it might feel awkward or imperfect. Your brain actually starts to shift from, I can't do this, to wait. Maybe I can do this, which is going to begin this spark. It's the thing that gets the fire burning, but you don't need the whole fire. Have you ever seen how someone actually makes a fire in the woods? They find little sticks that they spread over the fire. They might even put some paper on there. They might find a little bit of gasoline or something that can help ignite the flame. But the fire doesn't start straight from the log. It starts from all of those little ancillary things. And it's not perfect, but that's what helps it start. I remember the first step that changed my life. Let me take you back to a moment in my own story, a moment that shaped everything that I've done since. I remember standing in my room, overweight, frustrated, and honestly, I was embarrassed. I had studied my story. I knew the patterns that I had that led me to gain weight. I knew the pain that I've been through being a child of an alcoholic, trying to navigate my dad and my brother moving away from the home and living with my mom by myself. I knew what I wanted to become, but I had no idea how I was going to bridge the gap from what I wanted to achieving it. And the night before, I remember it was homecoming. And I asked my mom a question about, hey, do you think I should go? I thought it might be kind of fun to go with a date. There was a girl that I was interested in at the time, and I was going to ask her to homecoming, and I wanted to get my mom's feedback on that. And I'll never forget, she looked at me straight in the eyes. And at this point, she had had about a liter to a liter and a half of wine, drunk. And she looks right at me and says, son, you're too fat to have a homecoming date. And instead of doing homecoming, I did something completely different. I decided to lay out some shoes that were 2 sizes too big and some clothes. And I laid out these items to go on a run. I prepared. I did all of the steps because I wanted to feel something that was different than the way that I felt when my mom told me what she said. And it was that evening after I laid everything out, me putting on those clothes and stepping outside and going for a run. I remember for a second, I froze. Every old thought that I had in my head came rushing in. Thinking about my mom saying I'm too fat. People laughing at me from elementary school, calling me big teddy bear. People saying you're just going to quit again. I thought, what's the point? I've even said things like, you're not built for this. The inner voice was very loud. It almost convinced me to break the promise that I made to myself that I wasn't going to be defined by things that were said about me or hurtful things that were done. That there was still this small, quiet whisper. And that whisper in my head, in my psychology is what changed forever. It's where it all began for me. It said this: Kollman, just start. Walk if you have to. Jog if you can. But just start. And that first run that I went on wasn't pretty. I ran to almost 15 miles, running, walking, jogging, because all I could think about was what my mom said running through my mind, right? I didn't become this new person overnight. But in that moment, that was the first step in my identity shift that led me to everything. It led to my health, my confidence, my Division I experience as an athlete. And ultimately, it led me to the BTB Project. Beginning changed everything. So here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to act your way into an identity. You begin your way into it. You can think about change. You can want change. You can prepare for change. But your identity shift doesn't happen until you take action. Identity grows from your behavior. It's doing the boring stuff. It's being habitual over and over and over. It's not from wishing. It's not from planning. It's only from doing. When you take that first step, every tiny one, you send a message to your brain. This is how and who I am now. It could be as simple as putting on your shoes, writing one line, sending one email, walking for 10 minutes, drinking water instead of soda. Small beginnings build real identity. So let's talk about why beginning is so damn hard sometimes. There are three main things that stop most people. First is fear of imperfection. We think we need to start big or start perfectly. But the truth is, perfection doesn't create progress. Progress creates progress. Number two is we have a fear of judgment. We're afraid someone will see us starting small. But the people who judge are the ones who never started. The people who grow are inspired by anyone who dares to begin. And the third thing is we have a fear of failure. We're scared that if we try, we might fail. We might be in our thoughts about what people say about us. But failure is actually the proof that you're alive. Failure is feedback. Failure is part of the process. Beginning silences all three of these fears: fear of imperfection, fear of judgment, fear of failure. I want to focus on how can we put beginning into action. So let's get a little practical here. Go ahead and grab your journal from what you've used for the first three steps of the BTB Blueprint. And I want you to open a new page. At the top of that new page, I want you to write my first step. Now, I want you to think back to a decision that you made from week 2. The identity of who you're becoming. That powerful BTB statement on what you're built to become. And I want you to ask yourself, what is one action that version of you would take today? So think of the end of your goal and who that person has become, and you're able to have a conversation with that person. What is one action that version of you would take today? Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Your first step might be small. In fact, it should be small. Making momentum go forward is one of the most powerful things you can do as a human being. So here are a few examples. If you're trying to hone in on your fitness, go take a walk for 10 minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's walking down to the mailbox and back. If you're trying to hydrate more, drink water first thing in the morning. Our body's made of 70% water. Why not start your day consuming some? Maybe you're trying to get off your cell phone. Turn off your phone for 1 hour. What if your house is always a mess? Maybe it's just to clean your environment. Make your bed in the morning. Send a message to someone that you've been avoiding. A toxic relationship, something that you know you need to communicate with just to put it into it. Start a project that you've been thinking about doing for months. Maybe it's starting your own business. Maybe it's starting your own podcast. Now, once you've identified that first step, I want you to write one more sentence underneath it. That sentence is very simple. It will say, we'll do this today. I will do this today. After you write that down, then go do it. Not perfectly, not beautifully, not because everyone else is doing it, but just genuinely take the first step. Because beginning isn't about the intensity of what you're doing to take action. It's about your identity. It's about you trusting that future self, that this is the first step that I need to take. So what's the challenge for step 4? Your BTB challenge is simple. Take one meaningful action that aligns with who you're becoming today. Not 10, not a full transformation, not a list of 30 different things. One. This is how real change begins. We've simplified it. We've taken it all down to just the studs. And it's action that creates clarity. It's action that builds confidence. It's action that unlocks momentum. Most people never begin. Most people look at this step and they shy away from it. That's why you have to be in a certain place in order to begin. And you're becoming who you are built to be by showing up, by being here, and by taking a step forward. Beginning is hard. I will never forget how hard it was to snap out of the big teddy bear to who I was built to be. At that point, I was vulnerable. At that point, I was willing to get uncomfortable. But it's in that moment that everything starts to shift in your favor when you begin in your identity. You've done the inner work. You've made the decision. You've prepared. Now take a step, whatever that step is. Listen, you were not built for hesitation. If this BTB Blueprint Step 4 episode impacted you on beginning, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. We are 1/3 of the way through the blueprint. Today was step 4 of 12 steps. As I mentioned, the BTB Blueprint is something that I've utilized in my own life. I've utilized in several hundred other clients that have impacted their life and helped them become who they are built to be. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.